Welcome back. I'm Annie Nash with the Unleashed Advisors team at eXp Realty, and today I have a special treat for you. Today we are talking about women in real estate, and I have two very special guests, Danielle Ramirez and Christy Merritt, are joining me today, and we're going to just sit and kind of have a good chat.
Yeah.
So before we jump into everything, we'll start with Danielle. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into real estate.
My name is Danielle, and I am from California originally. What got me into real estate was when we moved here, I didn't know anyone. And I love being surrounded by people, and I wanted to get into the investment part of real estate, and trying to do that without knowing nothing about real estate was a little bit difficult. So we got into managing Airbnbs, which is a little tedious, still doing it. And I was just like, I want to be more in the game, learn more, and be able to meet more people and get myself out there. So I decided on a limb in December of 2022 that I'm going to real estate school, and surprised everybody. Didn't tell anyone except for my husband until I was done. And got in, love it, and just looking forward to the future in it.
All right. Christy, tell us a little bit about you.
So I am in my 6th year of real estate. It's the best decision I ever made. I didn't have like some epiphany that I wanted to be a realtor. I just was tired of the corporate world. I had owned a business in the past, but it was a brick and mortar. So there was a lot of overhead expenses, and I knew that I never wanted to do that again, but I really, really loved working for myself. So I decided after I got laid off from a pretty big hospital in the area to go ahead and pursue real estate because I would not need a brick and mortar. And it just happened to work.
Yep, I like it. So I don't know if I've told y'all my story. So I spent 20 years in nuclear power and corporate world, and then got to go with Craig to one of his events because he's been in real estate for, I think, almost 8 years now. In April of 21, we went to Cabo to an event, and I was like, sweet, I get to sit by the pool and relax, and I don't have to do any of this stuff. You go to your meetings and whatnot, and I'm going to just chill. And by the third day, he was like, you've got to come in. And so I watched, and I was amazed and left. But I think before we made it home, I had already signed up for classes to get my license and stuff like that. It was just, it seemed like so much more fun, so much more my personality than what I was doing in anything nuclear power, government contracts, corporate world. Having to work for somebody else just wasn't my idea of, hey, this gives me a path to do something fun. So did that, been doing it for 3 years now. So it's kind of like we've got a good mix of experience here and what we work with. So Danielle, you mentioned that you like to work with investors, and that's kind of what got you into the market. Is that kind of like your ideal client, or who do you prefer to work with?
I definitely love working with investors. I'm working with one now that does not live here, but is buying and flipping quite a few properties, and then I'm selling them for him. So I do enjoy that. I enjoy more so now because I'm more in the process of doing the designing and everything else for him as well, since he's not here. So I'm loving that. But I wouldn't say it's my ideal client. I enjoy doing that. However, I do love working with clients that are getting ready to retire, and even first-time home buyers. It's on both ends of the spectrum. But it's first-time home buyers is more of, I'm going to guide you and help you find that home that you're going to start out with. So many people think that, oh, this is going to be my dream home and forever home, but how often does that really ever happen for first-time home buyers? But just walking them through the process and having it as easy and seamless as can be is joyous for me. Mm-hmm. And then helping people that are also retired that may need to finance or are cash buyers, but just showing them different things that they didn't think that they wanted. Because it seems that they have this vision in their head of where they want to move and where they want to be and what type of house that they want. But then when they see something else, it's mm-hmm. like, oh, I didn't even think about that. But they've already purchased a few other times and they have their mindset. But being able to show them different things without them even knowing and just going is the fun part. Because mm-hmm. then they're like, oh, thank you for showing this to us. We didn't think we would even like something like this. So I like both of those, the first time and then people that are looking for their forever home at the end during
Yeah.
retirement and to live the rest of their life in. So that's fun for me.
Yeah. How about you, Christy? What's kind of your favorite client to work with?
So I wouldn't say that I have a favorite, but I naturally gravitate towards a specific client, and
Okay.
it's usually families. I have a family myself, so the moms out there, I can really, really relate to them. We're in the thick of it. And my business is really, really built off relationships. So working with families, I will have events and things like that, which, we all become family. And it starts at that first time home buyer stage, and they really trust me and we work really well together. And then before you know it, they're having kids, and then the next house or their family's moving into town. So working with first time home buyers and then through their whole journey has been really fulfilling for me.
I like that. That's cool.
How about you?
How about me?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I have a hard time with that because I love first-time home buyers, especially when they've got an idea of what it is that they think the journey is. But just like you said, being able to walk them through it, help resolve any concerns that they have, or show them, hey, they may have something in idea in their head of what they want, but being able to go, okay, so we've looked at a few. This kind of fits what you say, but you're pointing out other things. Will you trust me to just go and look at this other place? It doesn't quite fit what you've said, but it fits what I think you're showing me or what
Yep.
you're telling me. And just having that experience with them and being able to open that part up for them is really exciting. I'm also, now that I'm in my third year, it seems like things just take off when you hit year 3. And so I'm getting to do a lot more listings, and that's getting to be a lot of fun. Being able to walk sellers through, even though our market is, things sit on the market longer. And so you've got to get creative, but being able to walk them through that process too. And then reaching out to buyers agents that are coming through and showing the house and talking to them and be like, hey, have you thought about this? If they're interested in it, but there's this one thing that's holding them back, what can we do for that? So I've enjoyed that. So working now, going more towards sellers is getting to be a lot more fun because I've got that confidence, I think, now. So I read a study, or I was looking at some numbers because we talked about doing this women in real estate thing. And I was like, what is the numbers of women versus men in real estate? Because it seems like for my career, I've always been in a male-dominated field. And it's been a little bit weird to be able to be where there's a lot of women, which is kind of cool. And now I'm starting to meet women that I really enjoy working with and talking to, and we can relate. So I saw that there's almost 70% of residential real estate agents are women. But some of the top performers, or the ones that make the most, are men. What do y'all think about that?
So I think the men should leave the room for this. So women are really good at building connections with people. So, and that's what we do, right? We have to make people feel comfortable, and they have to really, really trust us. And I think women have more of that nurturing.
Oh, for sure.
But there's also a different side to women that we're really passionate about what we do too. So we can be nurturing when we need to be, but we can also be really passionate in our negotiations and making sure that our clients get what they need. I think men have a harder time bouncing back and forth between those two things. But then there are some really, really amazing men realtors out there, obviously, that can do both.
Yeah.
They're a special breed, though.
For sure. I think sometimes men, at least in my experience, men, when they submit an offer, they might be a little bit more aggressive than we are sometimes. But I think women tend to think more outside the box because we're that nurturing, we're paying attention to the room and what emotions are going on, and we can kind of sometimes check and adjust and go, well, what about this?
Yep.
So that we can make it get done.
Yep.
So.
It depends on the client, too.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Like how much nurturing do they want, or do they need, or do they, from working in an engineer world, there's sometimes that we can't be super nurturing and we just have to go straight to the point. Men might be better at that.
Yeah, I think so. That's where a lot of the stuff that Danielle, we've done with you and Ryan, the personality types and the flight assessments and all those different things, it's been really interesting to see because like you and Craig have very similar personalities. You're very direct. Here's what it is, and Ryan and I are we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna get in the feelings and see. But it's very interesting to see how we could, like, if there's been an issue or I come to a stumbling block, and I'll reach out to Craig or to you, and I'll be like, how do I handle this? And you're like, here's the direct, just do this. Okay, yeah, and it works. But it takes all of the different kinds of personalities to get together to make that happen. So it's a lot of fun.
And I will say it doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't.
I am very direct, and that's where me and my husband are different, because he's more of the compassionate one and wanting to walk through and the slower pace. And I'm just like, are we going to do this or not? So, I mean, it goes both ways. And I do know how to read the room for the most part when you're meeting your client. You know if they want to move fast or if they really want to take it slow. But I have worked with a lot of male realtors on the opposite side, and some of them are extremely direct and could be lightweight rude in some aspect where, you know, it would come to the point where like, all right, well, we're just going to terminate the contract because, I mean, you're clearly not trying to work here. You're not trying to work with me. You're not trying to work with my buyer. You're not trying to do anything. And now you're doing a disservice. So we're going to move on. And, you know, of course, tones tend to change. But my job is to help my client, not to do what you want me to do.
I love that. Say that one more time. What is your job?
Well, my job is to help my client. You know, I'm not going to bend over backwards to help your client, because that's not what we're here for. That's what you're trying to do, but we have to all work on the same, you know, forefront and get this job done for both of our clients, because that's the name of the game. We want to make sure everyone's happy, but also make sure that everything is fair, firm and fair.
I think we have to remind other realtors a lot, men and women, that you're not answering my question. You're asking your client how they want to answer my question or my buyer's question or my seller's question. Sometimes realtors want to jump the gun and answer for their clients, but that's not how this works.
And then you're like, did you even ask?
Yeah.
Like you already know the answer?
You didn't get the answer that quick.
Right.
No. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But they're so forceful, and then they could ruin the whole deal. And that goes both ways. I don't want to just say only
There's
men
women
are
like
like
that,
that.
too.
There's definitely women like that. And I'm guilty. I've done it before. And I mean, it worked out, but they were just trying to bully, you know, and I was like, So, you know, you just kind of have to take that step, because ultimately you know your clients and what they're going to do for the most part. But in some situations, you definitely have to have that sit down and that conversation and just make sure that this is what's in best interest for them. But I think it's overall an even playing field.
Yeah.
Depending on the situation. I mean, there's just going to be some clients that gravitate towards a woman more than a man, and then vice versa. And really, it's all on how you approach it.
We should do a poll.
Okay, what's the poll?
We should ask our social media audience if they would rather have a man realtor or a woman realtor.
All right, there you go. So all of our viewers out
Cause
there,
some problems.
would you prefer to have a male or a female realtor represent you, whether it's a buyer or a seller?
And why?
Yeah. So what are some challenges you've faced in the industry?
Like as a woman specifically or in general?
I think just in general, because, yeah, it could be either as a woman or just in general. What are some of the challenges that you see as an agent in this industry?
The first thing that comes to mind for me is that we're working with human beings, and everybody is so different from each other. So all day, I mean, I could be on the phone with one person and we could be having an amazing conversation about they just went under contract and they're so excited. And my tone is completely different than when I hang up and I have to answer a phone call where we're terminating an agreement or we're trying to negotiate repairs and we can't. So it's up, down, left, right, up, down.
Being able to check and adjust to that and have that social or whatever, the emotional roller coaster that we're on. Yeah.
And then throw your kids at home into the mix, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
The kids, the spouse,
pets.
the pets, all of the stuff.
There's a lot of emotions. I mean, even with yourself, because you want so bad for your clients to be happy and for them to initially get exactly what they want. And then when it's like the downslope, I mean, you're sad too. I mean, because you didn't get to give them, what they want. That's where, I get hurt. I'm like, what did I do wrong? Like, what? And it's not about what we did wrong. It's just that just really wasn't for them.
And as you get into real estate, like I remember being like that when I was new, and I would let my emotions get involved. And then eventually you realize that we can't control the other side at all.
Yeah.
They're just, if you're working with a buyer, you have no idea what that other seller's situation is. They could be going through a divorce. They could be relocating for a job. Like we have no idea. And no matter what our client needs, we can't control what they need or want on the other side.
Yeah.
So you do get better at that. You will.
I agree with that. It's still hard
Yes.
because, especially when a deal falls apart.
Yes.
Or it doesn't go the way you want it to because, we build these relationships and we spend so much time with our clients, whether it's a buyer or a seller, getting to know what it is that they want, what they need, and then for it to not work. I still do the, what did I do wrong? But you're right. You don't know what's going on the other side of the
We can't
table.
be that way with our clients.
And it's nothing
Right.
about you or us. It's really the total situation that's at hand. So
I think the hardest part of that is we have to be the calmest person in the room. And so being able to hide that disappointment on my side
Yes.
and then go, okay, I can go and take a bath or do whatever, go for a walk and get it out and then be excited and positive again.
That's another reason why we need to have friends in real estate.
Because they understand.
Yeah.
Like I remember and I feel bad for Craig now because I remember when he first started and he'd tell me about something that I had no clue what he was talking about. Somebody did something and now they won't agree to whatever. And I'm like, okay.
Is it really that bad?
Can we have dinner now? Can we, and
now it's like dinner's postponed. I have a phone call. I need to handle this.
yeah. Why? And I'd be like, well, we're getting ready to eat dinner or we're getting ready to go out. Why do you have to go show a house?
Yep.
Because somebody wants to. And I didn't understand that. And so now having both of us in real estate, and I think, so Danielle's husband's in real estate and Evan was also in real estate. So like it's good having the family understand what we're all going through.
Yep.
So it makes it easier to navigate.
Yeah, it definitely put it in a different perspective when Evan got into real estate too. And I was a lot of the feet on the ground. So, I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I've been in real estate for 6 years. So we've been in the little kid phase and the baby phase for pretty much the whole part of it. And I remember having to go show houses, and it would be frustrating, right? It's the evening. We have a newborn at home. We're both really freaking tired. And he's like, why do you have to go? And I would cry on the way to those showings.
Yeah.
But he didn't know that.
Yeah.
And,
Well, and this is how we feed our families. This is how we keep them in a house and keep things going. And so there's a lot of pressure too. So I understand it now after I'm in it now and I see it a lot more. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. But that is probably one of the biggest challenges with being a woman, mom, wife in the industry.
Yeah.
Is because we do have to work really hard. People think that because we work for ourselves, that we have all of this flexibility. And I tell people, I'm like, I have the littlest flexibility that I've ever had. If I'm working with 5 different clients right now, I have 5 bosses. They hired me to do a job. And it's hard to regulate that.
Yeah. Well, and I think,
And it's so true that you say that 5 different bosses because it really is. And they can call you at any time. I mean, of course, you have to set those boundaries for the most part because I would say 99% of the time I do not do any showings on Sunday. I mean, that's just what it is. There might be that special time because someone is only coming into town for that one day. Then, you're flexible. That's your job. But it is 5, 6, 7 different bosses. And I'll admit, Annie knows I was so overwhelmed one time. I was like, I have all these different people and I don't know what to do with it because one's calling, one wants to go at 1, the other one wants to go at 1 and And luckily Rye was already in and we were able to divvy up some of what needed to be done. But it is extremely hard. Yes, you do work for yourself, but you're working for these other people. So you really don't have that flexibility that everyone thinks, and oh, you make all this money, you could do, but no. There's a lot of things that go into real estate. It's not like, oh, I'm showing a house and it closes in 30 days. It could take 6 months, 8 months, a year, and you're still working with the same people. And people don't see the background of it. So it is a challenge.
Well, and I think that's what makes us good agents is when they don't necessarily see all of the crazy and the chaos behind it. And they just think, hey, everything's running smoothly.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable in this transaction. I know she's got my back. I think that's one of the telltale signs of us doing a really good job.
Oh, yeah.
But it requires, we have to have some self-care too, because that's a lot.
They don't see when you come in 8, 9 o'clock at night from a late night showing, you're just throwing the coat down and taking your shoes off. And like, okay, I'm just going to sit down.
And what'd you eat for lunch that day?
Yeah,
Right.
nothing.
Either nothing or
I have meat sticks and cheese sticks in my car.
And we would talk about that too, because I'm like, Annie,
Have you eaten yet?
Have you eaten?
Because like all of a sudden I'll start, I think you and I talked about this. Like I'll start not making sense and I'm just really spacey and it's like, she'll be like, have you eaten today? I don't have time for that. I got things to do.
and that's when we have to pause.
Yeah.
Because then we're, ultimately at the end, we'll do a disservice to not only ourselves, but the person that we're working for.
Yeah. I also like how you mentioned that we've got 7 different bosses. It's not just 7 different bosses. We have 7 different personalities. And they're all just like picking up the phone. You've got something really excited and knowing how to, because everybody wants to be communicated with a little bit differently and knowing how to do that and answer that and keep all of the plates spinning. Well, without, I used to tell Craig, my biggest goal is to make sure that I've got all the plates of spaghetti spinning right and they're continuing to go, and I'm not losing any meatballs off those plates. If I lose a couple noodles here and there, that's okay, but I don't want to lose the meatballs.
Yep. I mean, and we have things coming at us all day in all different directions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But would you trade it?
No.
No.
No. I love this.
Yeah.
And
I mean, because at the end of the day, it's fun.
It is.
You enjoy what you do. I mean, you have the ups and downs. There's some stressors that go along with it, but the fun and excitement and meeting people and really seeing the joy on their face outweighs all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
It's totally worth it.
Okay, so I got a couple different questions for you. So what is one of the funniest or most embarrassing stories that y'all have or experiences you have? And if you want me to go first, I will.
You go first.
So I was thinking about it on the way over here. And I was like, oh, I have one. I know one that I can tell. And then I was telling Craig, I was like, oh my gosh, I have so many of these. And I think really the most embarrassing was one of my first buyer clients. She ended up being a good friend before we really started going out and looking at houses because they had moved here from Alaska and then they had gone to our church and we'd talked to them. And then they had made the decision they were not going to move here. They were going to go somewhere else. And then she called and she was like, we decided we're going to stay. So I'm showing her houses. This is probably the 3rd house that I had shown her. And we go and it's got a basement. And here in South Carolina, those are rare. But we go down and it's not really a basement. It's more like a kind of finished crawl space that had a door from inside. And then there was an unfinished part of the basement. So I open up because the air handler is down there. I'm like, oh yeah, we need to look at this because this is important. And her husband was an engineer. So I knew some of the things for him too. I would pull it open. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm sticking my head in the door. So I'm like, and all of a sudden I go, scream, slam. I push her out of the way because she's coming. Push her out of the way, slam the door, and I go run into the stairs. And then I realized, oh my Lord, I just pushed my client out of the way, slammed the door, and I was like, well, thank God I didn't push her in. And she's like, what happened? There was a spider this big. So what's she do? She goes and opens the door. It does the same thing to me, pushes me. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that was my most embarrassing. I pushed my client out of the way, just about knock her over because there's a spider inside of a crawl space. So I don't know that it can get much worse than that.
I couldn't have done it either. I might have had to leave the whole house in general.
If it had been a snake, we would have been flying and I'd be like, burn it down. Burn it down, I'm done.
Mine, and this is still, because this happened to me, it is now my biggest fear every home that I go into.
Oh, no.
You know how you do like the courtesy knock or the doorbell or, you try to make sure that nobody's in the house. Well, my clients and I walked into a showing and walked into a room and it was completely dark, but the fan was on like full blast, just spinning in there. And hit the light switch. It was not turning on. So of course, then I'm like, oh, I must have to pull the string on the fan. So I get my flashlight out on my phone and I shine it in there. And as I'm making my way up to the fan, I notice that there's somebody sleeping in the bed.
Oh,
no.
And it was a seller that had worked third shift. But that's why also communicating showings to the entire family is so crucial. But I had to be like, slowly back out and be very quiet and tell my client there's somebody sleeping in there. So we're just going to leave. We're just going to leave.
That would be, yeah, that would be embarrassing.
So now I have to check every house every time just to make sure. And I guess it was a good thing that it happened because now I'm always ready for it.
you must have been really quiet.
Yeah.
So do you like ring the doorbell and just hello when you open the doors, or what do you do?
It depends. I mean, you look for cars, right? You see if there's cars there. This was a different property. It was like an apartment complex type property.
Okay.
So you walk in the front door and there's like there was like 4 units through one main door.
Oh.
So, but yeah, I mean, I always do a knock at least.
Yeah. All right, Danielle.
Well, I haven't really had like funny, but for me, it was scary. I mean, I had a client that was very ambitious, extremely ambitious. She wanted to find an older home so she could flip the whole thing and make it the way she wanted. So we went to look at this 100-year-old home, at least. I think it was 100 and something actually. And from the outside, it looked pretty good. But it was starting to get dark and there was no power there. So it's about 5 o'clock, already starting to get dark. And when we go in, it's like pitch dark. So I'm already seeing spiders. I'm not wanting to walk through even the door because spiders is just not my thing. And so I end up walking through the door with them, and her mom are just like ready to go. They have their flashlights. They're excited. They're like trotting through this house, and I'm like taking one step at a time, thinking like these things are going to fall on my head. They're just going to come down on me. And luckily I wasn't seeing everything. But then they got so far ahead and, wandering that I had to turn the light on my phone. And so I'm like, what is happening here? And so I'm turning my light on my phone and I'm like, there is stuff everywhere on the floor. There's spiders, there's bugs, and I'm taking a deep breath because I'm going to pass out. And I'm trying to contain myself because they are so excited. And the mom's like, oh, you can do this. And I'm thinking like, there is no way. I don't even see it right now. I mean, it's dark. How do you even see this? Like, oh, there's a way we can get it done. And I'm thinking like, I just want to get out of here. And so then their flashlights aren't doing much. And so I'm like, here, you can take my phone and go look wherever you want to look. I'm going to wait outside. But as soon as I turn around and I have no light, I'm going to go outside. There's still a little bit of light outside, and you see the webs and the spider. And there's like big ones. And I'm like, see, I'm getting goosebumps now. My hair is like, But that was horrible for me. It was the worst ever. And now when these older homes come out and people are like wanting to see, I'm like, oh gosh, here we go again.
And you work with investors, which is like all flips,
Yes.
older homes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I just looked at one about 2 weeks ago. I was like, no.
You walk in and you get that weird vibe.
You get the EBGBs. Like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
This isn't gonna work.
You walk out and if you've touched anything, you're like,
Yes.
I gotta wash my hands. They're just,
And I wasn't trying to touch nothing. I just wanted out.
I do remember that house. I didn't go with you when it was dark like that, but I remember I took them over when it was light because I forget you had something else to do.
So you went without me.
Yes, because that was the one that had
The
like
big
other
white one with the yes.
and then it had other properties that she could rent out that were on the same piece of land. Yeah, I remember that one, and it was creepy. I remember that. I was like, oh no.
I thought I was done that day.
Yeah.
Like, oh, is this what this is about? But hey, she
You're
didn't end up buying it.
Nope. And you're still here.
Yes, I'm still here.
All right. So what's one piece of advice you would give new agents coming into the industry?
As a new agent, I wanted to work on my business so much that I spent so much time prepping and getting everything perfect. And now I've realized that your systems are going to completely change over and over and over again. So the best first thing you can do is just get some business in your back pocket, start working with clients. Your systems are so, so important, but they'll come as you mold those, start working with those clients and all of that. And then also stay away from the bells and whistles of real estate. So you don't need that really nice new CRM for your database. You don't need to pay for leads. You don't need to do all of those things. Just keep it simple that as a new realtor, but stay super connected too. Mm-hmm. Because if you're not confident in answering questions about the market, then, you know, you're not going to be confident with your clients at all. So I would say staying connected and then getting your systems intact, but not getting too involved with them. Mm-hmm. Just get business and start rolling.
Yeah. So don't make it perfect.
Yes.
Make
it's
it
never
function.
going to be perfect.
No.
And I mean, pure example this past year with the NAR settlement and all of that, we had to completely change our buyer packets, our seller packets, everything, or you rebrand. We all recently went through that.
Yep.
You're rebranding all of your stuff all the time. The best and quickest experience you can get and the better that you can be for your clients is just by working with clients. Mm-hmm. We'll help. Yep.
Well, and I think finding a mentor even, or just somebody else you trust that you get along with, that you can bounce, you can bounce ideas off of. So that way, if you come up with something, you're like,
yep,
I'll find out for you. And then that's somebody you trust that you can go and ask those questions.
And if you can, just start real estate full time.
Yeah.
Just jump right in.
Yeah.
Because you'll stay stuck part time and you will stay stuck there.
Yeah. I think it's hard to try to do this part time.
Oh yeah.
So.
Or have something else in the background.
Yeah. Because this takes a lot of energy and attention, I think.
And it's such an unregulated schedule. I mean, we can try to regulate and say, well, I'm going to do showings on this day and this time, and I'm going to have office time this, and you can try, right? Like there are some people that can do that really, really, really well. I am not one of them. If one of my clients needs something, I'm probably going to try to do it. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I ran into the same thing, especially 2025. I was like, okay, I'm going to get better at time blocking. And you can look at my calendar, and I do time block, but each week is different. And I start out with, here's the frame, and almost each day will change too. Because I'll start with, I don't know, I'll be like, yes, I'm going to make calls in the morning. And then my morning gets jammed packed because I'm doing actually client care and working through things for them.
Yep.
Yeah, being able to be flexible. I think
things come at you all day long, and you have to learn to say, okay, that's not an emergency right now. It needs to be handled, of course, but it can wait. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
I feel like we hear that a lot. It's going to be fine. Yeah. Or I say that a lot. It's going to be fine. Yeah. It's going to be okay.
I hear that a lot from you.
Yeah.
I will say for me, because I will hit 2 years in March. So if I were to start again, like next month, brand new, I would definitely just put yourself out there.
Yeah. See?
And I don't feel like I did that enough in the beginning of my career. I know I will be better with that this year. And I think a lot of it is new industry. I was scared. I didn't know what I was talking about, and fearful really that people just wouldn't like me or wouldn't want to work with me or, you know, whatnot. And so even like videos and podcasts, like I like, scared, but just putting yourself out there and just doing it.
Yeah.
From the jump. And yes, if you can do it full time, that would be 100% the way to go, because it's so hard to try to navigate this and that and everything else. And it's just like, even with having a family, you have to navigate that. Mm-hmm. And this is the secondary. But definitely putting yourself out there, just jumping straight in, getting to every event you can, and being in the room with the right people, which I'm grateful with you and Craig, because I wouldn't have had that. I had no idea even getting out of real estate school, you had to hang your license somewhere. I mean, I have multiple licenses and I've never had to do that. I just got my license and went to work. So luckily, praise God, I was blessed to be able to meet you guys and really follow in your footsteps and be able to go to events and just be involved in different things with real estate, so I could meet people and learn. And you guys provided that team atmosphere when it came to getting clients and whatnot. I would have not known where to go or where to even start. So that was a blessing for me. And now it's really just in 2025, really putting myself out there and just going. I already promised myself, I told Zach, I told everyone, I said, every listing's going to have a video. I'm going to be in it. I'm going to do it. I have to do it. And that's the only way now that I feel for myself and a lot of other people that you're going to advance and really thrive in this industry. And I've seen it because last year I was like, I'm getting deals, but it's not where I want to be. So there's more to it. You just have to really put yourself in that and grow.
Yeah. I think I would echo what both of y'all have already said, and putting yourself out there, get that confidence quick, because you don't have to have everything perfect, but if you're not talking to people, you're not getting deals.
Yeah.
And that relationship building part is big. And I think for a new agent, worrying less about what are you going to tell people when they say, well, how many deals have you done? Because at least with EXP and what we do, there's a huge support system around you. And so there's always help.
How many times have you guys honestly been asked that when you've been interviewed for a...
Never.
Me either. Which that's my advice to buyers and sellers is to interview agents.
Yeah. Well, maybe once. But I mean, I was able to go, hey, but I've got this huge group around me.
Oh, yeah. We have I didn't start at EXP, but I love it. And I was just, I was stuck. I grew so much at my last brokerage. It was great for me. It definitely served its purpose. I grew my business very, very fast, but I had a lot to do with that, not my brokerage. But I just hit a point where I needed more and I wanted to be a little fish in a big pond again. And this was perfect. There are resources all around us at all times, literally 24/7.
Yep.
And there's always someone to call.
Yeah, there is. Well, and I think one of the things, so when Craig was doing it, he was with a different brokerage as well. And I remember him talking about changing brokerages. And at the time, I'm out of real estate. And I knew his brokerage that he was with because it was one of the big ones that you hear everybody talk about. And I was like, why would you go? What's the name of that one? It's EXP. Why would you go? And the thing that for even new agents, worry less about what the name on the door is and worry about yourself, because people are going to work with you because of who you are and the personality and what you're going to do for them over the name of the brokerage.
Yep.
So find a good brokerage. And if you want to join EXP,
Come on over.
Come on over. We'll help you.
Well, that's a funny thing too. A lot of people would be like, you work for who? I've never heard of that before. And I was like, well, you have now.
Yeah.
Welcome.
We are in complete control of our own businesses. Our brokerage is great and they offer us resources as realtors so we can better serve our clients. But at the end of the day, the way that we are serving our clients is all up to us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I really like that because it doesn't feel like I'm in a corporate world working for somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I got one more question for y'all before we wrap this up. What is something that or one piece of advice that you would tell a new client or your ideal client?
So I cover upstate South Carolina and Western North Carolina, but upstate South Carolina is a Shark Tank of realtors. There's so many of us, and let's be honest, we're not all great. We work with other realtors all day long, we know. So I think it is so important, and I encourage buyers and sellers to interview realtors. Some realtors would say, oh, I don't want to interview for a position. That just makes it so much harder. But I love it because I want my clients to choose me. I mean, I feel like I'm at a point in my business where I don't want to work with someone if they don't want to work with me. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I can pick and choose as well. And also my second piece of advice would be for buyers. They're feeling all of the emotions. Like they're nervous, but they're excited. We will walk you through it. A loan officer will walk you through it. You have to start to even get that ball rolling. If you wait, you're just pushing it further and further out. It's not a yes or no answer. Like, yes, you can buy a home or no, you can't. It's how we're going to get you into a home. So we will figure it out. You just have to get the ball rolling.
I like that because I was thinking about that the other day, and I'm not the one that's going to make like cold calls and stuff like that. Yep. If somebody's expressed interest, I'm going to call or I'm going to email or I'm going to try to do what I can to help. But yeah, buyers have to take the first step, and don't be afraid to, just like you said, interview, talk to us, find somebody you like and get along with and that you can trust because they're going to walk you through the process.
We have to work together really closely.
Yeah.
For a little while. No, I agree with that as well. And definitely try to get in front of the agent before signing anything.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of the times, the conversation on the phone could be totally different than the conversation in person. And there's been, I've had one client that actually got rid of 2 agents because they just didn't see the same vision that they wanted. It was like they were showing other things that they weren't looking for, and 20, 30,000 over their budget, and they just couldn't narrow it down, get it back in place. And I'm the one that I'm going to get you what you want. I'm not going to try to get you a higher house that we already know you can't afford. Why even look at them? Like, that's pointless unless we know that there's some wiggle room. But definitely get in front of the agent, ask them some questions. Get to know them before committing, because you just don't know. It may take 3, 6, even 8 months, sometimes a year to purchase a house. It's a long process for some people. And if you're stuck with someone that you don't want to work with, it's no fun. You want it to be an enjoyable process. So definitely, get in front of the person first and get to know them and see if you really want to work with them on that level at least.
Yeah. Because it's not an unstressful situation. We're going to help guide you through.
Oh, yeah.
So being able to trust your agent is important, I think.
Definitely.
They're buying a home, which is
Usually the biggest
massive.
investment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Especially this day and age.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot to it. So it can be.
I have clients that apologize to me. I'm so sorry it's taking so long. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, you're buying a home. You're not buying a lawnmower.
Right.
We're buying a home.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
Or the ones that get extremely upset with you when they know it's not you, but they have to take it out on someone, and then they're like, I'm sorry. It wasn't you. And I'm like, no, you know. I used to let that really bother me. But now, it's just emotions. Everyone's emotions fly high when there's certain situations. So if you can really meet that person and trust that person and know that you're in good hands and that they're going to do what's in best interest of you, that's really what will work out.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think also don't be afraid to ask questions.
Oh, yeah.
We're here to be your advocate and to help you through the process. But if you've got a question that we don't know that you've got, we can't.
Yep.
We try really hard to read minds. I'm not that great at it.
I gave up.
And be honest.
Yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes clients tend to leave some things out, and then you're trying to work with what they're telling you, and it becomes something totally different.
Yeah.
And it's like, just be honest from the beginning, because then it's going to make the process so much smoother.
Yeah. All right, ladies.
Awesome.
I really appreciate your time. I've enjoyed this. I think it'd be fun to do this again sometime. Is there anything else you want to bring up before we sign off?
No, this was fun.
Yeah, it was
All right.
awesome. Let's make 2025 the best.
Absolutely.